Anime recap here. Today I'm going to explain a slice of life supernatural anime called The Helpful Fox Senko-san. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Nakano Kuroto is your average man working in the city. One day, after wrapping up his work, he is about to go home when a coworker asks him for help. Despite wanting to go home already, he reluctantly agrees. Meanwhile, in a shrine, a trio of supernatural beings observes Kuroto, and they notice the black aura surrounding him. One of them says that holding darkness within can bring one's world to ruin. So before this happens, they must save him. Another one of them volunteers to do the job, adding that she's going to pamper him to his heart's content. Back to Kuroto, he still manages to catch the last train for the day, but his dark aura is growing even bigger than before. He's gloomy, brooding, and drained from work. When he gets home, all the lights are turned on. This has him wondering if he left them on. Before he can get in, he's welcomed by the sight of a girl cooking. Upon noticing him, the girl warmly welcomes him home. But a panicked Kuroto only apologizes for getting the wrong apartment. With that, he closes the door. But when he looks at the sign beside it, he realizes that it is his apartment. Kuroto opens the door again, and the girl is still there to greet him. Once more, he closes the door and slaps his face. It hurts, so it's real. There's a girl in his apartment? The girl then chimes in, saying that she's been waiting for him and that dinner is ready. Kuroto can only stare dumbly at her, wondering how this little thing with big ears and a tail had gone into his apartment. He definitely has his priorities straight, that's for sure. His anxiety engine of a brain starts building a scenario in his head, and the police are arresting him for abducting a little girl. Wait, nope. Scared for his life and reputation, he kicks the little girl out of his apartment, but to his surprise, she just passes through the door before telling him that she can tell he's pretty worn out. He exclaims, "Are you a ghost?" The girl can see Kuroto's dark aura getting bigger and bigger. It starts to worry her, so she asks him, "Aren't you going to have dinner?" He sees the food prepared for him, and his stomach grumbles. Hunger aside, Kuroto asks the girl what the hell she is and what she's doing in his apartment. The little girl is on the verge of tears and says, I put my heart into making this meal for you, but oh well, I guess I'll toss it out. She's about to pour the meal into the kitchen sink when Kuroto stops her. He finally yields and agrees to eat. After setting up the food on the table, the girl waits for him to grab a bite. When he does, he comments that it's delicious. The girl seems proud of her cooking. After observing him for a bit, she also starts eating. The dark aura surrounding Kuroto fades as they eat together. While having their meal, he suddenly remembers something important. Who is this little girl anyway? The girl introduces herself as Senko, an 800-year-old servant of the gods and a demigod fox. Oh, that explains it. And so, Kuroto readily accepts her explanation, as if it's completely normal to be dining with 800-year-old super beings. Kuroto notices that the ingredients the meal has are not from his kitchen, so he asks Senko about it. She says that she brought them herself and that they were offerings made by people at the shrine. When he asks why she came to his apartment, Senko replies that she couldn't stand to see him looking so haggard, so she went there to help him. Her answer doesn't really satisfy Kuroto, since he isn't the only haggard-looking wig slave in Japan. Hell, we're haggard too. Where's our cute fox demigod dinner maker? Then, Kuroto further asks her why she's going through all this trouble to help him. Slowly, Senko begins to respond. The truth is, you are. He waits for whatever shocking revelation Senko has. Just the type of handsome boy I like! She blurts out. That's it? Kuroto asks, more serious now. Senko explains that she's indebted to his family, and all he needs to do is accept the pampering. After their meal, Senko prepares tea for them to drink. The fox says that she thinks all the coffee he drinks is disturbing his stomach. Kuroto asks her how she knows that, and she responds that she's been watching him quite closely for a while. While Senko is off to wash the dishes, Kuroto notices a lucky tea stalk in his cup. He recalls that when he used to visit his grandma, she would give him snacks and make him some tea. One time, he also found a lucky tea stalk in his drink. He apologizes to Senko for making her do his chores, but she tells him to sit back and let her pamper him. Kuroto admits that he doesn't know how to be pampered, so she encourages him to tell her if he needs anything. Just then, he notices her tail, so he asks her if he can touch it. Upon seeing Senko's flabbergasted reaction to this, Kuroto assures her that it's fine if she doesn't let him. Still, Senko agrees even though she's a bit flustered. Kuroto is left in awe of her golden fur, as he thinks that it's an overwhelming explosion of shiny fluff. When he finally touches it, he is elated to feel its soft fluffiness. Senko, on the other hand, is starting to lose her cool. He comments, "This must be the most luxurious foreign existence. It's like being completely enveloped in a gentle hug." To this, a very shy Senko tells him, "Could you perhaps tone it down a little?" When the awkward tail-touching moment finally ends, Kuruto is feeling apologetic. He elaborates that she's done so much for him, and he can't do anything for her. Senko assures him that seeing a smile on his face is all she needs in return. But he insists that if this goes on, he's going to end up a lazy bum. To this, Senko asks if that's really a problem, which makes Senko think. She also adds that everyone has their faults, even her, and she's had 800 years to work them out. Senko thinks that he's already working hard enough as it is. Besides, she's doing all of this for him because she wants to. She also clarifies one more thing. A demigod fox's care is priceless, so no number of good deeds could possibly compare to it. So again, shut up and take her pampering. Senko then invites him to use her lap as a pillow, and he does so without a second thought. While she's running her fingers through his hair, Kuroto dreams of himself as a kid, praying at a shrine with his grandma. But he gets lost in the woods, so he calls out for his grandmother. A stranger appears and leads the way for him until he finally reunites with his beloved grandma. Kuroto jolts out of sleep after the dream. A passing thought leads him to think that it was probably Senko who helped him find his way. Before he can ponder more, he's preoccupied with other things, like his body feeling lighter than before. He thanks Senko again, and she responds that she's only just begun pampering him. He asks if he could touch her tail again. The fox becomes flustered and replies that he can only do it once a day. The following day, Kuroto wakes up feeling drained and sleepy. He hasn't slept much, but there's nothing he can do about it, and like anyone unfortunate enough to be born without generational wealth, he must go to work. The man initially thinks that everything that happened last night was a dream, but Senko appears before him, greeting him good morning. She notices that the dark aura surrounding him is back and tries to make him feel better by offering to make breakfast for him. He declines this offer, saying that he has to go to work. As he leaves, Senko thinks of ways on how she could make him feel better. The demigod starts by airing out his futon. With Senko left alone in Kuroto's apartment, she begins cleaning up. She wraps up just when the day is about to end. After cleaning the apartment, her next task is preparing dinner. She once again used the offerings the shrine received. Kuroto has another long day at work, going home late as usual. On the way home, he wonders what Senko is up to. Said fox greets him cheerfully when he gets home. She's prepared his dinner and bath. Everything is already set for him. For sure, his tired and weary body can rest for a little bit. He apologizes to her once again. The man surmises that everything she's done for him must have been a lot of work. Senko asks him why he's apologizing, and he replies that he just feels bad that she's completely spoiling him. She responds that she's doing all of this because she wants to. Kuroto shares that he got chewed out at work, and his hearing has been a bit off ever since. He looks for the cotton swabs and finds them on the table. He tries to reach for them, but Senko uses her powers to have them float towards her. She offers to clean his ears for him. Kuroto says he's good, and she's bewildered that he would reject the most masterful ear cleaner in existence. He comments that it's a weird thing to claim mastery of. Senko coaxes him. Where's the harm in simply wanting to clean his ears? Kuroto responds that he can handle ear cleaning himself. Plus, it just makes him feel a bit weird. She proposes a compromise. If he lets her clean his ears, she'll let him touch hers. This ignites Kuroto's curiosity, so he agrees. The man then lays on his side, placing his head on her lap. He's a bit concerned that he's doing this to a little girl, but then he reminds himself that she's 800 years old. There's absolutely nothing criminal about it. She starts cleaning his ear. He thinks, I never knew having your ears touched could feel so good. She's so close that he can hear her breathe. The warmth of her lap, her fluffy fur, everything is so relaxing. Kuroto's so relaxed that he falls asleep and dreams of Senko. In his dream, a faceless man who appears to be Senko's master is giving her head pats. Senko says, "Just a moment, am I the one being pampered here?" The master replies, "What's wrong with that?" She replies that she's there to help him. Her master says that her presence brightens the mood, and that's help enough. Kuroto wakes up and apologizes for having slept on Senko's lap yet again. She assures him that it's no problem. The fox even boasts that all are powerless before her ear cleaning. Remembering the dream he's just had, Kuroto asks her whether they've met before. She replies that she can't remember the face of every child she's seen, so they may have met before. Kuroto recalls their deal, and now it's his turn to touch her ears. Senko braces herself while Kuroto mentally prepares. After a moment, he finally touches her ears. He thinks it's a slightly different, more gentle fluff than the tail. It's like being all wrapped up in fur. And as he's doing this, Senko reminds him to try to control himself. The man wonders what the inside of her ears feel like, so he pokes his fingers inside her ears. The dude doesn't have good impulse control, huh? Due to this, Senko lets out a deafening shriek. It's so loud that one of the neighbors investigates where the loud cry came from. Senko hides under the covers, sulking as Kuroto lowers his head and apologizes to her. She tells him to go to bed, and he responds that it's a bit too early to go to sleep. She gets out of hiding and tells him that he'll get a full 8 hours if he goes to bed now. He replies that he can't sleep that much as he'll be late for work. Casually, he adds that he usually only sleeps about 4 hours. Senko is surprised to hear this, asking him if he's human. She tells him that he needs to take care of his body. He reasons out that he knows. It's just that he's so busy. She advises him not to wait out until he gets sick. If he's busy, all the more reason to sleep. According to her, the most experienced sleepers sleep for a few years, or even a few hundred. He comments that standards are different when you're immortal. Kuroto admits that lately he's been having some insomnia, and he's not sure he can fall asleep. Senko proudly says to leave it to her. It seems she has some trick up her sleeve. Touching his futon, she says that she put it out in the sun for him. Kuroto jumps in his bed and feels relaxed, feeling the fluffiness of his futon and smelling its freshness from being out in the sun. He says he's so happy and thanks her for hanging it outside. He is sure he'll fall asleep in no time. Our ever-helpful fox soon feels sleepy herself and decides to hit the sack for the night. She changes into her sleepwear, with Kuroto being modest enough to look the other way while she does. When she's done and ready to sleep, he turns off the light for her. Senko just rests on the floor, kinda like the way a cat or dog sleeps. Kuroto thinks that making a god sleep on the floor is beyond bad luck, so he decides to wake Senko and tries to apologize, when suddenly, fireballs, called foxfire, appear in the dark room. She asks him whether he's having trouble sleeping again, but he replies that he's sure the cushion isn't easy to sleep on. He offers his guest futons in the closet. However, Senko gets the wrong idea and curls up in his bed beside him. She says,
"If you wanted to sleep together, just say so. Go to sleep."
This flusters Kuroto, telling her to wait. Senko just teases him, calling him a big baby. Compared to her 800 years after all, he's just like a child. On the other hand, the man still feels weird to be told that by someone that looks like a little girl. Due to this, Kuroto is still having difficulty getting to sleep. Senko notices and wraps him in her fluffy tail. He soon falls asleep like a baby. Or like the baby he is, you could say. Though things have been looking up for him, his dark days filled with exhaustion and bitterness are far from over, but at least he now has Senko with him, and she's there to help him get through his dark days. So no matter how badly his day goes, he can always come home to a caring demigod who's vowed to pamper him without expecting anything in return. But more importantly, she's someone who will always be by his side, no matter what.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.